When I was a little kid, my family watched this soap opera called Dallas. It was on at night, so I'm not sure if that changes the definition of it being a soap opera, but basically it was about all these super rich people who lived in Dallas and did all these crazy things. And, as a little kid, most of that just went right over my head, but I do remember, distinctly remember, one season where there was this big cliffhanger and a question that hung over a lot of people because it was a popular show as to who killed JR being one of the main characters in this show. And so everyone, waited in anticipation to see what was going to play out and how this show was going to move forward. And so the scene opens up, and his wife wakes up, gets out of bed, goes into the bathroom. The shower is running. She opens the shower door, and there, standing there taking a shower, is JR. And she, and of course all of the audience now realizes that that sequence of events in last season was nothing more than a bad dream. You feel where I'm going with this? So, so how awesome would it be if in the next movie Ray wakes up on the island and everyone understands that this event that Ryan Johnson has created here is nothing more than a really bad dream. And, Luke is standing there and says, "Are you ready to begin your lesson?" I mean, how awesome would that be? I just know that there would probably be a solid minute of standing ovation in theaters all over this country and the world for people to see something like that play out. Okay, so what I want to do in this video, just because I'd like to just take a little bit of time and discuss what might have happened in an alternate universe where the basic integrity of Luke Skywalker remains. What might have played out on this island in a way that would move the story forward, but also tie in some other elements from the previous films, and et cetera, et cetera. I'm just going to do something very brief here. These are just three basic ideas. I'm just going to skim the surface of them. Version 1. Rey shows up to the island, hands Luke the lightsaber. They have this important conversation, a piece of which is about why he's there, etc. Luke begins her training and helps her to tap into some deeper things about the Force, but perhaps even more importantly, imparts to her the guiding principles by which she will make choices for the rest of the duration of her character, for throughout her life. The guiding principles that dig at the deeper question of now that this gift has been given, this gift of power, how is that going to affect all of my choices and relationships from this point on? Because now all of these choices are made with the knowledge that, she can influence, someone with this kind of power can influence and change events in ways that, very few other people can. And what does that mean? And what are the principles that are going to guide Rey for the rest of her life? And in the process of doing that, there's time for these conversations, or at least snippets of them, about what it was that Luke was trying to do to reform the religion. There's another conversation, maybe perhaps in another video, about what that means to reform a religion. Because these movies deal with spiritual ideas. They deal with religious ideas. And you can't separate that out from the stories. It's a central element. And I'd like to have that conversation in another video. But Luke has this conversation with her too about important things that he was trying to do to not throw out the religion, not burn down the religion, but to reform the religion, to course correct some problems. And as he's sharing these things with her and he's teasing at the surface, so to speak, of some of these changes, the light switch comes on and she realizes that she is in fact his daughter, which he already knows, obviously. And then so it comes out that, one of these aspects that he was reforming was the Jedi prohibition on marriage and procreation, right? We've seen in the previous films and the prequels that the Jedi were required to take on a vow of celibacy. And of course the complications and problems that awakened within Anakin, whose destiny was to change, right? To bring balance to the Force. And in what way do these changes arise in his character? Primarily in a relationship. And so Luke, being the reformer, now sees that this is one of the aspects within the Jedi religion that needs to change because, well, I'm not going to dig deeper into it right now. And then with the blowout of Kylo and the threat that he represented, he needed to put her somewhere safe and at a distance because of everything that transpired, right? And so now there's this reunion and there's an opportunity for him, should it be necessary for the plot line later in this film or in the next one, for him to sacrifice or lay down his life that he's successfully implanted in his daughter. These are the principles that I'm giving to you because now this is your time. So version 1 would have been a Rey Skywalker, and that reform to the religion would have answered the question, the problem, as to how she could have been his daughter, because Luke was a reformer. Okay, version 2. This is another scenario in which Rey is not the daughter of Luke Skywalker, in which Rey is a chosen one. Rey arrives on the island, and again, I'm not trying to, in this video, give lines or writing. I'm just giving the idea of it. But the idea here is that Luke has been waiting for her arrival. He knows she is the chosen one. Perhaps he has even prophesied her coming. If you remember, in the prequels, prophecy is a gift within the realm of the Force. I'm not going to address that issue more deeply in this video, perhaps in another. But it was stated that it was prophesied that a chosen one would bring balance to the Force. This was the story of Anakin Skywalker. And because of the ways in which he, made his decisions and made some tremendous errors in the ways in which he was supposed to fulfill that destiny, and the ways in which, he did, but in a very destructive way, another chosen one is on the horizon. And this chosen one, instead of bringing balance to the Force, this chosen one is going to unify the Force. Again, I realize that just even saying that raises a whole other conversation and some other problems to resolve. Not going to do that now. But let's just, for fun, say that Luke himself has prophesied, being the Grand Master Jedi now that he is. Or perhaps even if it wasn't him, maybe he's the Grand Master Jedi, but he just doesn't have that gift of prophecy, but someone within his, within his Reformed religion does, and they prophesy it, and he knows that his purpose now is to sort of, you know, be the John the Baptist, so to speak, and anoint and baptize this chosen one who is going to do a new work in the realm of the Force. And that's his role and his relationship in this meeting between him and Rey. And there's something dynamic there, I think, that could have happened if he was awaiting her coming because of this important work that she was going to do. And he had that role of prophet and mentor and the one who was going to sort of launch her. And then, making that analogy of John the Baptist, what we all know what happens in that story of John the Baptist. He loses his life. And he says, "I must decrease that he might increase." This were the words of John the Baptist. So you very well could have woven in those concepts into that sort of a version. Version 3. So Rey shows up to the island. She sees Luke. They have some important conversations about the Force. He trains her. He shows her some things. He imparts, again, an important mentor relationship where he imparts some important pieces of wisdom and guiding principles to her. And there's a piece in this conversation where she wants him to come with her, and he says, "I cannot do that." And so she chooses to leave the island, and as she leaves the island, she sees a grave marker that says Luke Skywalker. And the whole time we discover now with her that he's been dead the whole time, that she has been trained and mentored by the spirit, the ghost of Luke Skywalker on this island, and now she goes off to fulfill her destiny. Those are just 3 versions in my head, things that I think might have been, kind of cool options of interactions between Luke and Rey. Unfortunately, we had nothing in this film between Luke and Rey other than negativity and fighting and conflict and disappointment. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed those 3 versions. Feel free to leave comments below.